Hi guys, let's do another English practice. Today the article's name is 56% of US workers spend the whole workday indoors. The article's level is intermediate, some vocabulary is opportunity, a time or situation that makes it possible to do something essential, necessary, and very important, prioritize, to consider or treat something as most important, refreshed, having regained one's energy, strength, pressure, stress, or difficulty caused by having too many demands on time, energy, resources, switch off to stop focusing on or think about. Okay, I sometimes find it difficult to switch off after a busy day at work. Okay, so let's move on to the reading. 8 hours indoors, lunch at a desk, and a screen always within reach. This is a normal day for many office workers. In fact, a new survey by Talker Research has found that many US workers don't go outside at all during their workday. This survey included 2,000 hybrid workers. It found that apart from the time spent traveling to and from the office, 56% spend their whole workday indoors. Lunch breaks are a good opportunity for people to get away from work for a short time, although unlike some other countries, US law does not require that workers get lunch breaks. This survey found that the average US worker eats their lunch while working at their desk about 3 days a week, and 85% of workers sometimes skip their lunch break altogether. However, workers would like this to change. Over 90% of participants say they agree that taking a lunch break is essential. In fact, just under a third of participants said they have a higher opinion of colleagues who prioritize having a real lunch break. Nearly 80% said they would prefer to eat lunch outdoors on most workdays. For many, getting outside is a good way to feel refreshed. 64% said fresh air helps them get their focus back, while 58% said taking a break from screens helps their mind feel clear. So, if workers see the importance of having lunch outdoors, what's stopping them from doing so? 29% said they are too busy with meetings or work, while 25% said they feel pressure to always be available to their colleagues, even when workers take a lunch break. Many do not fully switch off. On average, they say they spend 61% of their break looking at a phone or a laptop. Okay, so let's move on to the questions. Did the Talker research survey fully remote workers? I think it included hybrid workers. Yeah. How many days a week does the average US worker eat lunch at their desk? At least 3 times a week. What percentage of workers said they would prefer to eat lunch outdoors most work days? I think it was about 80%. Yeah. Let me check again. Yeah, 80%. Okay, so let's move on to the discussion. What are your thoughts on Talker researchers findings. I found it interesting because it's some different culture. For example, here in Brazil, I work remotely currently, and we have a lunchtime, and we usually do a lunchtime free work, yeah, without do things relating with work. At least in my case, yeah, yeah. Are you surprised that the US law does not require that workers get lunch breaks? I'm not I'm not so surprised because I think I have heard about that before. Do people in your country typically take proper lunch breaks? Yeah, we do. Usually we take a proper lunch break because it's a law here in Brazil. Where do you usually eat lunch on work days? Do you ever eat it at your desk? Not from my desk usually. As I work remote, I work in my home, but I I have this time to refresh my mind away from the desk or computer. Yeah. Do you ever have to skip lunch because you are too busy? How often? Rarely. I even can remember some time that it happened. Okay, so let's move on to the further discussion. What does a normal day at the office look like for you? I think it's a day that we go there and work normally during 4 hours, and we stop to a lunch break for at least an hour, for example, in Brazil. And after we come back to work and finish. Yeah. Is hybrid work now common in your country? Yeah, mainly after the remote waves. Yeah, a lot of companies got the hybrid way to their companies. What do you do when you are having trouble focusing at work? Usually, I go out my house to refresh a little bit. Yeah. When was the last time you had a very busy period at work? Um, I think last week I had some days very busy period at work, but in a safely mode. Yeah. Do you find it easy to switch off after work? Usually I can switch off after work. I can uh, tire very well, relax very well after work. But I understand that it's not so always that it will happen. Yeah. Okay, so we have finished that lesson. Thank you so much for watching and see you in the next one.